15 photos Scarlett Johansson doesn't want you to see. Scarlett Johansson is one of the most famous actors in the world right now, including both genders and all age ranges. Her work in Lost in Translation, The Prestige, Her, Lucy, The Jungle Book, and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe has helped to make those projects work and be seen by millions of people. An incredibly attractive woman with real acting chops, there doesn't seem to be much that she is incapable of doing in order to entertain the masses. In case you couldn't tell yet, we here at The Richest are fans of hers. Still, when someone achieves the level of international success that Scarlett has, they should be prepared for an almost ravenous interest in their lives and everything they do. As a result, they can expect to have a legion of paparazzi follow them whenever they step outside their front door. Additionally, in this day and age, there are also people who spend their days attempting to hijack people's computers and cell phones in an attempt to find photos that were not intended for public eyes. 15. An odd stance. A shot of Scarlett on the set while filming Captain America: The Winter Soldier. She may have expected that her image was being taken by cameras all day, but probably not in this moment. A film that is arguably among the best comic book movies of all time, it brought a spy thriller element to the genre that many felt was groundbreaking. As a result, this talented young actress was most likely very proud of taking part in it, especially considering that she's an integral element, but we're guessing she'd prefer to leave this photo behind her. Seemingly walking towards or from her trailer for the briefest of moments in which this one particular photo was taken, she can be striking a stance that makes her body look weird instead of gorgeous as it usually does. 14. Yet another hipster. Have you ever met anyone that would self-identify as a hipster? We definitely haven't, which is odd considering there are so many of them in the world these days, and in some cases denying it is just laughable. Case in point, this image of Scarlett with her husband Romain Doriac, in which the pair look like they could appear in an encyclopedia entry on the word. Walking the streets of New York together, like they were expecting to go on a private jaunt instead of a spur-of-the-moment photo shoot taken by a stranger across the way. Certainly, if they were aware that they would have their privacy broken, their choice of clothing may have been a little less eccentric. 13. Bad hair day. Mullets are a horrible hairdo, no matter what the gender of the person wearing it is. If you are reading this while sporting one, we apologize if we've offended you, but facts are facts, and this is not a hairstyle that is likely to be found attractive by many people. In this photo of Scarlett from 2003, she is seen sporting one, and even though she is a very beautiful woman, even she can't pull it off. If you're looking at it and are somehow able to delude yourself into thinking she looks good here, then in our not-so-humble opinion you are wrong. However, let's pretend that she looks great. The fact that she has never been seen looking like this since should be proof enough that she realizes it was a mistake and has tried to move past it. The equivalent of an awful high school photo put available for everyone around the world to see. She must wish this one would disappear to the ages. 12. Flipping the bird. Like all Hollywood stars, Scarlett depends on the masses coming out to see her work in order to remain among the most bankable actors in the world. As such, the type of person that people see her as is very important. For instance, if a significant group of the population starts to think that she has a poor attitude, and as a result, they decide to no longer see her movies, it would be very bad for her. If the people no longer go to see her movies, the studios will no longer see her as someone they can base their projects around, and she will cease to get the type of roles she currently enjoys. That is why most stars spend so much of time attempting to come off as kind and sincere people, even though at least some of them must have had their vaulted positions go to their heads. It therefore probably isn't the best move to have your photograph taken while giving the camera the bird. Sure, most of us will likely surmise that the message was intended for the paparazzi behind the lens, but if even a small portion feel like it is a jerk move, it could be bad for her. 11. Bikini cellulite. A woman that Playboy magazine called the sexiest celebrity in 2007 and the only person that Esquire magazine has called the sexiest woman alive twice, Scarlett is one hot number. While she probably has more people lusting after her than nearly anyone else on this entire planet, and there are entities falling all over themselves to tell her how hot she is, that doesn't mean that she isn't human. As such, we're guessing that this photo of her with her ex, Nate Naylor, on the beach in Hawaii is not her favorite. An angle that reveals cellulite that she has on her backside that would have otherwise not come to the attention of the masses. What are the chances she has anything but disdain for the image? While she certainly has every reason to be proud of her figure, everyone we know prefers that people see them at their best, which isn't happening here. 10. Out for a jog. An actress who has routinely been involved in movies that require her to take part in action scenes over the last few years, it makes complete sense that she must work hard to keep herself fit. That doesn't mean that she wants us to be able to see her looking all sweaty after a jog as we can when looking at this 2011 photo of her working out. Taken during the midst of shooting the first Avengers movie and right after she and Sean Penn reportedly ceased seeing one another, her body looks great, but she is far from glamorous. Actually, probably due in large part to her choice of sunglasses, she looks more like a Secret Service agent than someone who looks at home on a red carpet. 9. An intimate moment. Another photo taken of Scarlett while she was on a beach in Hawaii. This time around we see that she was there with her aforementioned ex Nate Naylor. First kissing and then sitting in his arms, and the two sides have this split. It is safe to say that this was meant to be an intimate moment that only the two of them were to share. The fact that it was intruded on by at least one paparazzo who managed to capture them together and release it to the public has to be infuriating at the very least. Add to that the fact that she has since broken up with him and married another man. It seems improbable that she could ever look at this image with pleasure nor want anyone else to. 8. Eyes up here, buddy. A photo that was taken of Scarlett and Woody Allen on the red carpet for Vicky Cristina Barcelona. The pair are flanked by others involved in the production, but they've all been cropped out. A very well-received movie that ended up winning a Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. Everyone there was likely proud of their work, and we can't blame them for that. Still, none of that really matters when looking at this photo, as all that anyone can be expected to focus on is the fact that Woody looks like he is staring at her assets. Sure, logic tells us that in all likelihood things looked like that for only the briefest of moments. He probably was merely looking down for a moment, but it doesn't look like that here. Even if the actor in question would be fine with him taking a gander, and we don't know that is the case either, the fact that he probably wasn't doing that here must make both of them wish this photo didn't exist. 7. All covered up. The second photo of Scarlett with her second husband, the aforementioned Romain Doriac. This time around, instead of being seen in New York, the pair is on vacation in Istanbul. Since it is not a country we'd expect to be infiltrated by paparazzi, even her journalist husband probably didn't expect them to be hounded during their stay. Attempting to stay discreet, the couple reportedly went so far as to politely turn down fans looking for photos with them. But some people and their cameras are not willing to take no for an answer when a celebrity appears in public. Fleeing the scene with her head covered by some kind of fabric, we can't think of a more clear signal that somebody doesn't want to be the focus of a camera. 6. Fed up with paparazzi. Throughout this list, we've been looking at photos of Scarlett that were clearly taken by paparazzi, and this is far from the last one. It is very clear that Scarlett here feels uncomfortable with the situation and maybe even a little bit scared. If you can't quite make it out, I am being harassed by the person taking this picture are the words scrawled on the piece of paper she is holding over the bottom half of her face. There are two things we suspect Scarlett regrets about this photo: the fact that it exists and her spelling mistake. Misspelling harassed may be a small quibble on her part, but that fact that she clearly intended to take a stand against those desperate to get photos of her and that they profited from it likely disgusts her. 5. An awkward conversation. A yearly event put on in order to try to raise funds for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute in New York City, the Met Gala routinely attracts high-caliber celebrities. That means that Amazon founder, chairman, and CEO Jeff Bezos, Scarlett, Mick Jagger and the rock legend's girlfriend Lauren Scott sitting at a table isn't shocking. We can also tell you this: if we were lucky enough to be seated at a table beside the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, one of the most legendary bands of all time, we'd loved having the moment immortalized. Well, as long as it didn't look like we were talking his ear off while everyone else present was looking away from us like we were some kind of social pariah. 4. Watch your step. Poor Scarlett. When you're an actor and you get asked to take a fall on a public street for your art, you have to hope that people will see the results strictly in the movie. In the case of this infamous moment of her leaving her feet with gusto during the filming of Under the Skin, someone's camera got it from another angle and a meme was born. Considering you're reading our site, we can safely assume that you are familiar with the internet and the joy the people on it get from taking images and coming up with comical variations of them. Scarlett is one of the few people who have been at the center of this phenomenon since her body in this image has been photoshopped into any number of scenarios. It is our opinion that this is something the actress probably never wanted to be a part of. 3. The super creepy kiss. John Travolta has been a huge Hollywood star at 2 separate times in his career. Currently no longer in demand in the same way he has enjoyed in the past. Despite that fact, he has been in enough legendary films that he will continue to be invited to events like the Oscars each year, an awards show where he has made a series of famous gaffes in the last few years. He started out by mispronouncing a name, but in 2015 it was his over-affectionate behavior that turned heads. Putting his hands on Idina Menzel's face during the telecast, that wasn't the only weird moment of the night for him. Walking behind Scarlett seemingly out of nowhere, he approached her, placed his hand on her stomach, and kissed her cheek. While Scarlett has publicly defended his behavior since, even if she was okay with it in the moment, we can't imagine she enjoyed any of the attention it garnered. 2. A red carpet groping. While Scarlett defended the behavior of John Travolta, there is another red carpet moment she was a part of that she decried for good reason. Wearing a cleavage-barring and attention-grabbing dress at the Golden Globe Awards, she was one of many stars that were supposed to be interviewed by fashion designer Isaac Mizrahi. Instead of discussing her acting prowess, Isaac opted to take it upon himself to grope her breast while she asked what was going on. Then as she smiled awkwardly, he proudly chanted that he touched Scarlett's boobs and viewers cringed. When asked about the moment in the days after, Scarlett said, "It was definitely in poor taste, but didn't stop there." She was also quoted as saying, "I'd been prepping for 2 hours with hair and makeup and getting dressed. And the first interview I do, someone who I have never met before fondles me for his own satisfaction." Finally, when asked about his defense of his actions, that he was trying to figure out her dress, she quipped, "I'm sure he was very fascinated by that, like he doesn't know how a dress works." Her opinion of the event seems clear. 1. The leaks. Celebrities routinely have their privacy invaded, but they should be able to expect that, when they are alone in a home or hotel room, that they can do as they please. In recent years, even that has been stripped away from some stars, as their private photographs have been hacked and leaked to the public. One of those affected, Scarlett, had several nude selfies she took for her own purposes stolen by a Florida man by the name of Christopher Cheney and uploaded on the internet. We do not condone those actions in any way and have opted to make sure to obscure her body from view. Still, we had to include one of them here, as we couldn't pretend that there are any other photos of her. She'd be more likely to wish the world didn't see any more than them.